So what we're looking at here is the worm gear from the lathe, the original one. That's quite crusty and quite worn, and I'll try and bring you in as close as I can. If you look here, teeth are all mashed together. Local engineer that I talked to suggested they'd been under an awful lot of stress. Not really sure how or why, but they have been, and the teeth sort of crushed over onto one another. This is a part that goes onto a spring that holds the half nut apart, and it stops the half nut engaging on its own under vibration or load, I suppose. It was broken in half right across here. It had been repaired before, so it's broken at some stage, been repaired and broken again. I suspect that's the reason that the lathe has malfunctioned, that the half nut has been accidentally engaged. So it's been repaired. I should have showed you some photos and some video of it in two parts, but I got overexcited, and that's how I am. So I think he tigged it and then he silicon bronzed it to get a smoother finish for me. I dressed that back with a flap wheel in the first case and a file after that, just to get a slightly smoother finish so that it fits better. It will fit up to the back of the apron and the half nut, and it goes right in that hole, just about there, and it's held up by this spring. I'm going to fit that and clean all this up because that's still pretty manky and rough in there, so I'll give that a clean up and we'll refit that. I think the excitement of the week though has been the box that's sitting here on my left that arrived from grizzly.com. It was a bit of a process to get Grizzly to send it to me. Of course, I'm in Australia. Grizzly, as it turns out, will only send you parts if you order more than $200 US worth of parts, plus the cost of postage. Yeah. Long story short, a friend of a friend lives in the States. I paid for it and got it sent to him, and that was fine. And all in all, including postage, it's cost me about $100 Australian for the worm gear. So now, I wasn't game enough to wait and unpackage this without, in real time, I suppose. I was too gutless. I undid it and had a look at it, and I actually have had it out of the bag and had a look. So I'm going to get it out of the bag, bring you back. Let's compare the gear that was on it and the gear that we've got to see if they're identical, and they pretty much are. So here we're looking at the two gears. The one on the left is the one I've just bought from Grizzly. The one on the right is the one that came off the lathe. The shaft sizes are identical. They're both right on 14 millimeters, give or take a hundredth of a millimeter. The keyway in the new one is slightly wider. It doesn't actually matter because the shaft that's in the lathe is not keyed anyway. The original gear, or the gear that was on the lathe when I got it, has had a hole bored in it, and there's a hole in the shaft and it's had a pin in it. The pin itself might be slightly tapered, but I'm thinking of putting a roll pin in it anyway. So the two gears are almost identical, measure pretty much the same number of teeth. It looks to be a very similar angle. The older one looks much sharper. I assume that's from wear, whereas the newer one is rounder and a slightly heavier look. I think it will do the job. It was certainly worth trying. I will take you along for the ride now that I've come this far. It's $100 Australian, about $73 or $4 US. I think it will work. I've showed a friend who is an engineer here and does a lot of machining work. He seems to think you have as much chance of anything as getting it to work. The teeth line up and look to be a perfect match, and the concave is slightly greater in the first one, but is it from wear? I don't know. I actually think they're both grizzly sprockets, grizzly worm gears. I believe the original one, this one, was replaced by someone at some stage, and the same thing was done. So it's off a Grizzly 9249, and it's a helical worm gear. If anyone else ever comes across this video, go for it, have a try, maybe watch the follow-up videos that I'll put with it as to whether it actually works. I found a YouTube creator who had done this to his, and that's how I got onto it. It's no great revelation created by me. I'm only doing what somebody had already done before me. I hope it works out. $100 is $100, and I'd rather not waste it, but I'll see if it can get it to work. I'm going to drill the hole, get a roll pin, and see if I can get it to all join together. That's the update of the lathe for now. I'm going to clean up the half nuts, reinstall the spring retainer, I suppose, that draws the top half of the half nut up and keeps it away so that it can't be accidentally installed. Down here you're looking at the hole where the worm gear dowel pin will go in. I've still got one part to come. There's a spline shaft being repaired by a local tradesperson, and they're under a lot of pressure with some other jobs, so they've just put me on the back burner for a little while, and that's okay. Well, there's the half nuts reinstalled with this arm, this retainer, or whatever you want to call it, that stops the half nut being accidentally engaged, installed back as it should be. I'm going to call that a win. Thanks for joining me in the shed. Hope you enjoy it. Cheers.